When it comes to working out, eating healthy, and all the things that apply around that, it's really important that we listen to our bodies because our bodies are really smart and often we just take for granted those little nudges. So I'm talking about that and why it's so important. So strap in, get ready for episode 209. Let's go.
The future of fitness.
How do you gain muscle mass?
Fitness is not complicated. It's simple when you break it down.
There's so much information out there.
No fads, no diets, just plain simple habits.
You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hey, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. For my return listeners, thank you so much for coming back. It means the world to me that you continue to tune in. It truly does. This would not be possible without you. And if you're, again, new to Bones to Bulk, we are all about breaking things down into simple terms because, let's face it, fitness is too freaking complicated and there's so much garbage information out there. And so I just try to break it down to the most simple way possible. If you have not checked out our text community, please text the word podcast to 706-222-7551. You'll get a couple automated texts just kind of confirming that you have joined, as well as a generic welcome message from me that goes out to everybody. And then from there on out, all the messages come directly from me. I send out a few texts each week, kind of some kick in the pants motivation, some fitness tips, and you can also ask me questions at that number, and I do respond. Now, it is a secondary number, so it's not like it's my primary number, and because I'd be on it all the time, I only check it a couple times a week. So if I don't get right back to you, bear with me, give me a couple days, and I promise I will respond. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. So listening to our bodies, it's one of the, I think, most underrated things when it comes to any type of fitness. Now, first off, you've probably heard of the mind-muscle connection, and this deals heavily with listening to our bodies. So often, I'll demonstrate an exercise, I'll talk about an exercise, I'll do a video on one of my other platforms like YouTube or TikTok, and somebody will comment and be like, that doesn't work, that muscle group, you're using X muscle group. Well, okay, that may be true that multiple muscle groups are involved, but what ends up happening is we're so used to going through the motions and we're so used to just doing an exercise because we've been told to do it or we've seen it demonstrated or we've been told it works out X muscle group, but we don't really stop and listen to our bodies. We don't really feel where the stretch is. We don't understand how the muscles are working. And sometimes all that takes is just slowing down, watching ourselves in the mirror, checking our form, and really paying attention to what we're doing. I get it. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in our workout. We crank the music up and we go hard and we pump through our reps, we pump through our sets. But in reality, we're kind of going through the motions. We're not really getting in a good workout. And I will be the first to admit I'm guilty of this. I'm not immune from, getting into that kind of mentality where I just rush through something. You've got to understand it's critical to really hone in and focus on what you're doing. Because as you make that mind-muscle connection, several things come into play. The first off is when you really notice the muscle that you're working, you're going to see what stretches it more. You're going to notice the difference you feel as you slow down, as you pay more attention to it. It's this crazy thing. Even though you're doing the same movement, you're thinking about it. It's kind of the same thing. Let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you're just kind of half listening. You're on your phone. You really aren't engaged. You really don't know exactly how that person is feeling. You may hear the words, but contrast that with when you're really engaged, when you're really paying attention, you're making that eye contact. There's a big difference, right? So it's the same thing with our muscles. We've got to be listening. We've got to be paying attention. We've got to be, tuning into what our bodies are telling us. Another key reason for this is injury prevention. I injured myself a couple of years ago. I pulled a bicep tendon. Most painful thing, I felt it right when it happened, and it literally took a year to heal. So it wasn't some minor thing like I tweaked and then was back at it. It took a year to fully heal to where I didn't feel it anymore. And I did it on an overhead tricep extension, a skull crusher. I was going back. I was going too heavy. I knew I was going too heavy. I felt that twinge. I'm like, I probably shouldn't do this. And I did it anyway, didn't listen to my body. and boom, that happened. So you've got to pay attention. I was able to work through it and slowly work back up. And again, it eventually healed. But the point is, like, it sucked. It hurt just to sleep. My arm just laying there on the bed hurt. So you want to listen to your body, because so often, again, we get in the habit, we get in these state of minds of where we're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill it, I'm gonna crush it, blah blah blah. Especially if we're working out with buddies, and we can really get kind of over the top. But we've got to slow down. We've got to be cautious. We've got to listen to our bodies. Don't be dumb in the gym. Don't be dumb in your home gym, in the gym you go to. Like, it's not worth it. You've got to focus on what you're doing. You got to pay attention to your body. It's so important. Another area this is really important to do is with our nutrition. And it may make sense in the gym. We may, get the whole listening to our bodies and making that mind-muscle connection. But how does this apply to food? Well, with food, it's the same thing. Are we eating out of habit? Do we notice that, when we've had a rough day, or if we get in an argument with someone, or just if things aren't going our way, are we gravitating towards the junk food? Are we gravitating towards the alcohol? Are we gravitating towards sugar? What are our trigger points? What is causing us to just kind of blindly go to whatever unhealthy product it is, even when we've committed that, hey, I'm not going to eat that anymore, or I'm going to get healthier, or whatever it is. And we get in that state of just, again, we don't think about it. We just go and we react. And usually something causes that reaction. Oftentimes we mistake thirst with hunger. I forget the statistic. I want to say it's almost 50% of all people are in a dehydrated state at all time. And think about that. You may, be thinking, well, how is that possible? But if you're just drinking coffee and soda and sweet teas all day, guess what? There's caffeine in those. Those are doing the opposite of hydrating your body. And so most of us do not drink water. One thing I'm super thankful for, don't get me wrong, my kids eat some junk food because I try to teach them healthy things. I try to implement a healthy lifestyle, and I limit what they have access to. However, I also understand their children, and I don't want to force something on them. So that's that. But there is one thing I'm super strict on, and that is what they drink. They've always drank water. They don't drink juice except on rare occasion, and they've never had soda. My oldest daughter just turned 8. She's still never had soda. I plan to keep it that way as long as I can. And again, they don't drink juice except for like special occasions. It's like a special treat. It's not every day. We don't keep juice in the house. And they love water. Like my 4-year-old will down water like freaking no tomorrow. And I'm so thankful that I've been able to build that habit in them, because water, I think, is one of the most basic, most fundamental things that we can do for our bodies is drink enough. And once again, I'm guilty of not drinking enough some days. Like, I'll 100% admit that. But it's something I strive towards, and I realize the importance. And so I say all that to say, a lot of times when we think we're hungry, we're really thirsty because we're not used to the cues our body is giving us. So a good way to test this out is go down 12 ounces of water really quick. Just gulp it down, and then give yourself 15 minutes and see if you're really still hungry, or if you're kind of satisfied now and don't need anything. Oftentimes when we just flip the script and think about, what's really going on here? Am I really hungry? Do I really need to eat? It's just so helpful to kind of understand what the body's telling us. And another thing is, how do you feel after a meal? I know for me, when I eat something that's just like garbage, I notice I just feel sluggish. I feel tired. I feel terrible the next day. Like, you've got to pay attention to how you feel with these things, because your body is trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you like, hey, this doesn't really sit right with me. You may want to rethink this. And just be cautious, pay attention, be mindful. Be mindful above all else, because our bodies, again, are freaking smart if we listen to them. All right, if you are on any social media platform, please check me out. I'm at Bones to Bulk everywhere, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. We have a great YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bones to Bulk. And if you are on Facebook, check out our group. It's just a community of like-minded people encouraging each other on. There's people in there from just starting off to kind of middle of the road to very advanced, and there's trainers in there. So it's a great community, and there's no BS. I don't allow it. So head on over there and join that. Again, that's facebook.com/group/Bones to Bulk. All right, with that being said, remember, no matter what you're facing, what obstacles you're coming up against, you can hit your fitness goals. You've got this.